Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to our webinar, Loud and Clear, Conferencing Solutions. I hope you're hearing us loud and clear. My name's Andy Cooper from Yamaha's Research and Development here in Milton Keynes in the centre of the UK, which right now seems to be a black hole for automobile fuel. With me, I have Mark Collins, my colleague, also from the R&D Centre. Thank you for joining us, Mark. It's wonderful to have you in the team.
Thank you for having me. Also
in the team, behind the scenes, we have Tim and Kosuke moving the faders, pressing the buttons for us. Thank you, guys. And Ascot monitoring us from afar as well. Wonderful. So, we have many listeners and viewers from around the world. Due to the wonders of the internet, we know we have people listening from as far as San Marino to Sao Paulo in Brazil. So I can say Guten Abend, and I can say Bom dia. Welcome, everybody. Mark, Conferencing Solutions, what are we covering today?
So Conferencing Solutions. So we have quite a selection of different solutions available for you today. So we've actually put together a bunch of video demonstrations to try and show some of these solutions that you can see on the table in front of us. So hopefully you'll be able to hear exactly what these sound like and you can make up your own mind as to what you think of them. One of the things that we've been talking about, though, Andy, was basically the path that a company such as Yamaha have taken to get to making conferencing solutions, because, of course, we are known as a musical instruments company. However, we make a wide range of other products. Andy, how did we get to where we are today?
Yeah, this is like the theory of evolution.
It is,
Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, we start with a portable organ made by Mr. Yamaha in something like the year 1889. And then Yamaha began really a larger business making pianos, acoustic pianos. From there, moving on to making additional acoustic instruments such as brass and woodwind. But, you know, as audiences increased in size, say in the 1960s and 70s, people could no longer hear just the acoustic sound. They needed sound reinforcement. So Yamaha started making amplifiers, loudspeakers, and mixing desks to allow the audience to hear the beautiful sound of the acoustic instruments. Then people started recording those beautiful instruments. So Yamaha made equipment for recording studios, to reproduce the sound of the instruments. But then people wanted to listen to those recordings in their homes. So Yamaha made hi-fi equipment to use in the homes to hear a beautiful sound there. And then, step by step, we reached the business kind of communication solutions we have here. Loudspeakers and microphones inside these products are similar technology needed in various other Yamaha equipment. But on the way, piece of history here, on the way of that journey, Yamaha also still makes sports equipment. This is a Yamaha tennis racket, I think from the 1980s, borrowed from a colleague of mine. And Yamaha still makes golf equipment and has made skiing equipment and archery equipment too, which is a wonderful kind of bit of diversification.
Definitely.
So materials engineering and science all goes into but these kind of products Yamaha has been making for around 15 years or so.
Quite a long time now. And it's been that continual quest for quality, really, that we've been going for. So continually trying to improve everything that we've been doing. So along the way, making products that not only are good for our customers, but also good for us to use. We've also been utilising these ourselves. But rather than talking about that now, what we're going to do is going to show you a quick video, because Andy and I were given 2 of these units over the last few weeks. And we did our own little review and we decided to film it.
Yeah. So, just before we start the film, let's remind everyone, Q&A. This is a live webinar, so please ask a question live and we will try to answer it live within the hour. So use the Q&A facility in Zoom on the app. I think you find it near the top. If you're watching on a computer, you'll probably find it near the bottom. Anyway, click Q&A, type your question. We will consider and collaborate and hopefully provide a good answer for you. So do that while we watch our pre-prepared VT.
Hi there, Andy.
Yeah, hi Mark, how are you doing?
Very good, thanks. And I must say I'm hearing you loud and clear right now.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, same for you too. I mean, there is a little bit of background noise, but hey, it looks like you're speaking from our canteen.
Yeah, so I am sat in our canteen. I'll be honest, we have actually generated a bit of background noise in here today because we wanted to do a fair test of the YVC-330 that I've got here with me. We've got an ambient mic in the room as well, so what we'll do is we'll just quickly switch to that and we'll just show the viewers what kind of background noise we're dealing with here. So right now you should be hearing an ambient mic in the room, and you'll hear there's quite a lot of background noise being generated, conversations behind me in the room, which is exactly what this device, the YVC-330, is designed to filter out.
Yeah, so Mark, are you using the special sound cap feature right now?
I am indeed, yeah. So the viewers will be able to see that the lights on the top of the unit are blue at the moment, and basically the blue signifies sound cap. If I hold down the mic mute and the volume minus buttons, then the lights will go green and that turns off sound cap. Then if I hold them again, then that will turn sound cap back on.
Right, so what is the sound cap actually doing?
Well, so what it does, it combines three features that are built into this unit. So it has far field noise reduction, or FFNR. It has self-silence, and it also has something called self-volume balancer. And the effect this has is it creates a virtual bubble around me. So all around this desk, it's a 1 meter radius around the YVC-330. And so what that means is anything outside that gets excluded, and it hopefully means that you hear more of what you want to hear and less of what you don't.
Yeah, it seems to be working well, Mark. And yeah, even if there's a conversation happening on the table behind you, the sound cap will obscure that. I mean, it's quite an amazing technology in such a small device.
Yeah, it's and really, I mean, this is designed so quite a few of us could be sat around a desk or a larger conference table. So it's really geared towards group meetings. There are actually three microphones in here. So what it does, it lets me turn any space into a meeting space.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you don't have to raise your voice either to be heard, do you? Despite all that background noise.
No, well, that's one of the nice things about this unit. I can speak naturally, and yeah, quite often when people are on conference calls, they feel the need to maybe raise their voice or shout a bit. I don't need to do that with the YVC-330. It's very clear, and with SoundCap as well, it also boosts your voice, so I can hear you more clearly as well as you hearing me.
Right. Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, I'm in quite a quiet room here today. It's a regular meeting room. Okay, there's a hard table and hard walls, so there's some reflections and reverberation. There's some air conditioning going on and some other background noises, computer fan and so on. But I'm using the YVC-200 and that has noise cancellation built in for exactly those kind of sounds. So you should be hearing my voice clearly right now.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's very clear. So tell me a bit more then about the YVC-200.
Yeah, well, it has a key feature called human voice activity detection, or HVAD for short. And this decides when it's hearing a human voice, and it boosts those frequencies. So it's adapting all the time to what it hears. And because it has a range of 1.5 meters, I'm able to sit comfortably at a little distance away from it. I could actually have 3 or 4 people around it at a table, and it would work really well. It's an omnidirectional speakerphone.
Brilliant. And so how are you connected to it at the moment?
Well, I'm calling you from my MacBook, so I've got a USB cable connection here, but it does have the option of Bluetooth. If I want to use my smartphone or other mobile device, then I can use it wirelessly. And it does double as a Bluetooth loudspeaker as well. Yeah. Actually, if I wanted to make a more private call, I could just plug in my headphones and then it would be only me hearing you.
Excellent. And so if it's working on Bluetooth, does it run without any other cables?
Yeah, it's got a built-in battery. Yeah. And you know what? It comes with a neat little carrying case as well, like that, to keep it snug
Look
inside
at
my
that.
bag. Yeah, a lot of remote workers use this solution both at home and on the road. During the day, you can do your conferencing. Then in the evening, you can use it as, well, you can play your music on it. It's got a 10-hour battery life, so it's really going to last the distance. Yeah, it's just a great value little device.
Excellent. So, I mean, really, while these are both quite small, they're actually really designed for quite different applications, I think. I mean, mine here is a bit less portable. You probably see this used within offices, and maybe one of these will be assigned to a certain meeting room. Um, Now, this doesn't have a built-in battery, but it can still be powered over USB, similar to yours, and it's got Bluetooth and NFC built in as well. So really easy to connect smart devices to it. I suppose with this, I mean, it's designed, I could have a group of maybe 5 or 6 people with it. It's sort of around this table. So, all just using this one device. So it's designed for slightly larger gatherings and larger meetings, I suppose.
Yeah, and I imagine the sound cap will just give it a whole lot more versatility, won't it?
Definitely. So, as we're trying to show here today, really you can turn any space into a meeting room with the YVC-330.
If you were in a bigger office, though, could you boost the sound somehow?
Yeah, you certainly can. So if I wanted a bigger sound, I could run this into a larger set of speakers, for example, or I could feed this maybe into a soundbar installed in a meeting room. So something like our ESP 1090, which is custom designed for business conferencing.
That's excellent, Mark. Hey, let's compare the controls on it. What buttons have you got in front of you?
Right, well, on this one here, so I've got a Bluetooth pairing button. I've also got then next to that a call button. So the call button I can either hang up or answer calls within all the popular conferencing applications. So we're using Zoom today, and that will allow me to answer calls within there and hang up calls as well. I've then got a mic mute button, and that also links with communications apps. So that will mute the application on my PC. And then I've got volume up and down buttons. But how about you?
Yeah, it's quite similar here. I've got call answer, then I've got separate mutes for the speaker and for the microphone with a nice coloured light indicator. Then I've got volume increase and decrease for either the speaker or the headphones. Then the Bluetooth pairing button is around the back. It couldn't be simpler.
Brilliant. Excellent. So really two great solutions which can be easily rolled out within business.
I fully agree.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that, Andy. I think that's given a really good insight into both of these two solutions. It's about time for me to go to my next meeting. So I'm going to say goodbye for now, and
Yeah.
I'll see you soon.
Same for me, Mark. Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks.
And here we are, live again. It was fun making that video with you, Mark. And one key thing to make clear to everyone watching and listening is what you heard and saw there is what Zoom recorded from our meeting. So you were really hearing the sound from these devices. So you were hearing how this one behaves in a very noisy cafe environment, and you are hearing how this one behaves in a regular kind of meeting room. Yeah.
Definitely, and this is the thing. I mean, so these devices, they are genuinely very small, very portable, and especially in the case of the YVC-200. But should we have a quick look then at just a quick reminder about the applications that these are designed for?
Let's do that.
So let's have a quick look at our presentation. So we have, in terms of applications for the YVC-200, this is designed for much smaller applications, so personal usage. Perhaps, let's say you're out on the road, you're working from home. Maybe you have a smaller meeting with perhaps 2 or 3 people, perhaps in a huddle space where local restrictions allow at the moment. In fact, maybe like us, you've been sort of working from home, doing team meetings, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Even I've used it for family communications,
Yeah.
to let the grandparents know how chaotic my children are causing our lives to be. It's great for that, small family groups to communicate. Yeah,
It is.
Works well.
It is. Yeah, great little solution. And then, so if we have a quick look at the YVC-330, so in terms of applications, again, as a reminder, this is designed for more open spaces, perhaps areas where you've got a bit more ambient noise going on. Also, maybe slightly larger meetings, so maybe a meeting with 6 or 8 people, something like that. You've got a larger pickup area with the YVC-330 when you have the sound cap turned off. When sound cap's turned on, you have that pickup area of around 1 meter around the unit, something like that. So 2 great little solutions, and the YVC-330 is Zoom certified as well, which obviously we're going out on Zoom today, so in amongst other platforms.
Yeah, it's good news. Yeah, we must say welcome to our Facebook viewers as well, because we're beaming out on the Yamaha Commercial Installation Solutions Facebook page. If you haven't liked us yet, please do.
Give us a like. Yep.
Yeah. Great. Well, back to the conferencing then.
Yeah.
We've dealt with kind of portable personal solutions. Now we're going to move it up.
We
scale,
are indeed,
aren't we?
yeah. So we're going to move to medium to large meetings now. So when your meeting gets a little bit larger, you need a bigger solution to cater for that. And you might want a solution that you can scale up gradually as well to fit larger spaces. So if you've got 3 or 4 meeting rooms, perhaps you have the same solution, but you have it configured to allow for larger numbers of people in different rooms. We have a solution to show you, but rather than me talking about it or Andy talking about it, one of our colleagues is actually going to introduce it. So our colleague Rhys Stead, who is the Business Development Manager for Unified Communications in the UK, will be presenting the next segment. Now, Rhys can't be with us today because he's actually down at the UC Expo. For those who don't know, this is actually running at the London Excel Centre this week, so it's running today and tomorrow. So if you happen to be in London and if you can get down there, then please do come along to the Yamaha stand. You can get to meet Rhys. You can get to see some of these bits of equipment firsthand, and you might even meet me as well, because I'll be down there tomorrow. So
try and get there tomorrow.
So anyway, enough of that. I think what we'll do is we'll pass across to Rhys for the next segment.
Hi, I'm Rhys Stead, and I'm one of the business development managers here at Yamaha Music Europe. And I'm here today to show you one of our key communications products, which is both flexible and highly expandable. The solution is called the YVC-1000, and you can see it here set up on our meeting room table. So in this room, just a single microphone will cover the entire desk area. So the YVC-1000 has a unique feature within our USB plug-and-play range. It has an auto-tune functionality. Now, simply put, hit the auto-tune button on top of the unit, and this will send out a set of impulse responses and listen to the space. It will then tune not only the input, but also the output of the unit to create the best quality meeting experience for both the near end and the far end of the call. This auto-tune functionality is coupled with a host of DSP functionalities which have appeared in the rest of the YVC range, such as AEC and noise reduction to really tackle a difficult acoustic environment. But the auto-tune functionality really does set this apart and makes this usable in some pretty large spaces. To give an example, we have some footage here that shows the system set up in a larger boardroom space with 3 extension microphones to give optimal pickup. As you can see, this unit is actually slightly different to the other products that have been shown so far today. Rather than being one standalone unit, this is made up of a base unit and extension microphones. This makes this an extremely flexible and scalable solution to manage. To increase the range, all you do is add another microphone. To decrease, remove. And this doesn't take a degree in technology to achieve either. For the user, it's simply an RJ45 connection to daisy chain these together. This means the unit can look after between 1 and 40 people and can be easily configured within a space dependent on its requirements. Through the easy to navigate connections, such as Bluetooth and NFC that we've seen on the other products so far, this is an easy unit for the user to connect to. However, the audio input and output options also mean this can be easily tied into a room system, therefore working in collaboration with or instead of a pre-installed solution, easily managed by button presses on the unit. And what about the connection for the user? It's as simple as USB plug and play yet again. The solution is software agnostic and it doesn't require any special drivers. In this instance, I think we have more than covered the ways you can configure the solution. So now let's talk briefly about the quality. As you might expect from Yamaha, the quality of the unit is very high and should be self-evident through this recording. I've tuned this to the room prior to us running the recording session, and you can hear the clarity for yourselves. The solution also benefits from our legacy in soundbar technology to provide room-filling audio from the speaker system. So finally, this is an extremely comfortable solution to use, with easy buttons for control on the bass unit, as well as individual mute buttons and indicators on each microphone. With the microphone set up in the middle of the table, I can quite easily fit a laptop, a notebook, and anything else I may need without having to consider the microphone positioning. This makes the YVC-1000 a strong, flexible, and scalable solution for any medium to large sized conferencing space. So, we've shown this working really well for this size of meeting room, and we've shown it in a boardroom. But how about if we have an even larger space? Perhaps the size of our meeting has grown and we need voice reinforcement in the room alongside the conversations with the remote participants. Mark has been testing a solution for this quite recently, so I'll pass you across to him to show you how this could work.
Here we have a solution from Yamaha, ideally suited to small conference scenarios within hotels and corporate offices. I found a spare room at the Yamaha offices and we decided to set up a demo. So we sometimes find ourselves in larger spaces where perhaps we need to conference in some colleagues, while maybe a larger audience needs to hear not just my voice, but also the voices of the remote participants. I've got a neat solution here to show you how we can achieve this. So for local voice reinforcement, I brought in one of our Stage Pass products. These are brilliant little units, single or dual speakers, a mini mixer and amplifier fitted into the back, and all the connectivity that you could need for a small conference or band setup. We make these in a few different forms, so we have the Stage Pass 400 and Stage Pass 600, which are 400 watts and 600 watts respectively. We then also make the Stage Pass 1K, which is the unit that we have here, giving you a whole 1 kilowatts of power and a mini line array, plenty of power to get you heard with a broad directivity. So with this alone, we've got everything that we need to mix a small conference or a small band setup, and it packs down to a really compact size. Okay, so now we have voice reinforcement in the room, but we need to do a conference at the same time. So let's bring in the YVC-1000. Okay, so firstly, I've made sure that my Stage Pass has the volume turned down. That's really important. On the back of the YVC-1000, we have a few ports. In the middle, there are these two RCAs that are labelled with a speaker icon. We're going to come out of those two ports into the stereo input channel on the Stage Pass. Just remember this, do not connect the out ports to the Stage Pass, as this will cause acoustic feedback in the system. They're designed for recording only. Then we want the remote participants to be able to hear what is being said in the room, so that's whatever is being fed through the PA system. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to come out of the monitor output on the Stage Pass and go into the input ports on the back of the YVC-1000. So now we can do two things. We're going to set the volume on the YVC-1000 to 7, and to be able to hear this, I'm going to gradually increase the volume of the stereo input on the Stage Pass. Right, so we boosted the sound in the room. Now we need to get ready to add some conferencing. And luckily, the YVC-1000 has a setting built in for exactly this scenario. So to check the setting, we need to use the configuration software that can be downloaded from the Yamaha Pro Audio website. To get the software, search for YVC-1000 and go to the download section. Now, with the YVC-1000 connected over USB to my laptop, I can run the configurator software to tell it how it's being used. So firstly, I open up the software. Then, under the input setup, I change the software to show that it's being fed from a PA system and also that it will be receiving a line level feed. We make sure the gain is set to 0 dB, and we make sure the EQ is set to pass-through. Then the last setting is down the bottom of the software. It's labelled PA microphone sound output to speaker. Setting this to off will stop the speaker of the YVC-1000 from causing feedback. So now I'm going to go into my conferencing software, and we're going to open the settings and go to the audio section. And in here, we're going to be able to test the levels. So as I bring up the level of the monitor output on the stage pass, we'll start to see some audio coming into our computer. And now we're ready to make a call. So now we're fully set up for conferencing in a larger venue. And the only thing I need to do is call up my guests.
That's good. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for that. And hey, viewers, friends, please send your questions in to us. As a reminder, we'll deal with some of them a little bit later. I tell you, on a personal level, I've been really impressed with the Stage Pass series. I even put my money where my mouth is and bought one for myself, which I use often. Anyway, that's an aside. I guess one question we have already is about the microphones that come with the YVC-1000, as you can see here. We talked about using this with a PA system in a hybrid environment. Can we use these microphones as part of the PA system? Because in that video, you were using a separate mic.
For sure, yeah. So you can't use these microphones for sound reinforcement. They're designed for conferencing. So with the YVC-1000, this unit here will work perfectly well for conferencing and can pass an output to another device, such as a PA system, if you need it to. But you wouldn't want to use its own microphones because they've got quite a wide pickup pattern. So you'll end up with feedback in the system, basically. So if you want to boost your voice, use a PA system. It doesn't have to be a handheld mic. It could be a gooseneck microphone or any other kind, really, like a lapel mic that you might want to use in a certain venue. And with this, if you want to extend its range, then you can add the extension microphones for conferencing purposes. In terms of looking at that, actually, I have a quick slide that I wanted to show you. So on here, we can see extension microphones and how they connect. Now, as we add extension microphones, you can just about see there that the range extends quite considerably. To the point where actually once you've daisy chained 5 of these mics together, as Reese mentioned, you can actually cover up to 40 people within a meeting space, which is quite a lot for a small conferencing solution. So the main base unit has a speaker within it, so that will actually output audio if you don't have any other sound system in the room. And the small circular units will work as microphones. So in terms of applications, as we mentioned before, we're talking slightly larger meeting spaces, rooms with slightly more people, or in some cases, areas where perhaps you need additional sound reinforcement. So if you're doing a hybrid conference or something along those lines, it's absolutely perfect for that. It's designed for that kind of situation.
Brilliant, yeah, it's a wonderful bridging tool, isn't it, between the PA system for the room and the conferencing system for the remote participants. Yeah,
it certainly is.
Absolutely.
It certainly is.
And it's also Zoom certified, isn't it, as well?
It is, I believe. Yeah. So
the slide we had earlier, I think, indicated.
Yeah, I think so. Right. So we've covered now small and portable solutions for easy plug and play connectivity. We've also covered slightly larger solutions for installed scenarios. Now we're going to look at a fully integrated meeting room solution. Basically what we've got is a solution that we've custom designed, which can almost be invisible in a meeting space if you want it to be. We've gone for ease of connectivity. We've gone for auto setup. And the solution that we're talking about is something called ADECIA. And ADECIA is a conferencing solution that's made up of mainly 3 components. So we have 2 types of auto-tracking microphone. They're both, we refer to them as the RM series. So one of them is called the RMCG, and that's a ceiling grid microphone. So that's designed to ideally mount into a ceiling within, you can mount it actually onto a ceiling tile in a similar way that you might mount a ceiling speaker. Then we have the RMTT, and the RMTT is a tabletop version of this the ADECIA microphones. In the center of the system, you have a processing core, which is an RMCR. So the RMCR processor gives you Bluetooth connectivity. You can do SIP phone calls with that as well. You can also plug in a USB, so it's USB plug and play, to give you an audio device to integrate with the room. And all of that will work seamlessly together and auto-detect. We also have a set of column speakers as well, the VXL1 16P column speakers. And all of these components are connected together using something called Dante. For those of you who aren't familiar with Dante, Dante is a networked audio protocol. And the idea is that with next to no latency, it gives you very simple, easy plug-and-play expandability to your system. You can extend signals, you can add components very easily, and they'll all run into a network switch similar to the network switch that we're showing there. So Yamaha actually make network switches as well. All the components here can be powered over Ethernet. They're all PoE plus capable. So basically all you have is a Cat6 or Cat5 cable running into the network switch, and that will power the components and connect them together, allow them to communicate.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it, Mark? One device, one cable.
Exactly.
And the whole system, you only need one type of cable, the Cat5e or Cat6 cable.
Exactly.
One cable carrying audio, control, and power for the device.
Exactly
which is pretty awesome. And just to clarify, with Dante, people who've watched previous webinars we've done know I talk a lot about Dante and are a big advocate of it. Dante isn't just an audio network protocol, but it's a whole AV network protocol. So you can carry video over Dante now. There are video modules too, and there's a certain amount of control available as well. So the world of Dante is rapidly expanding.
It's a wide world, yeah. And in fact, in front of us here on the desk, we have a bunch of these Dante Avio adapters. Now, we'll be talking about some of these later on, but the idea is with these, you can convert different formats into Dante streams. So we'll be looking into that a little bit later as well.
Yeah, there's even a Bluetooth one. Bluetooth
to Dante. The one awesome. I have here is USB-C to Dante. It's worth saying as well, we're actually using the RMTT here between us. So you're hearing us right now through the RMTT microphone. Basically, with the RMTT, there are a number of different pickup patterns that we have available. So if we switch across to the slideshow, we have here the RMTT has 6 different pickup patterns. So right now I've got it set in bi-directional mode, and I've moved it around 90 degrees so that it's picking up Andy and myself.
Hello.
But depending on where you are, you can set this up manually. Also, when you auto detect it within an ADECIA system, then this can be also set up for the room as well. So it's very handy. So as I mentioned, an ADECIA solution actually includes a number of these components, generally an RM series microphone, an RMCR processor, and some VXL1 16P speakers. Now, we actually have some of these components in the studio with us, don't we, Andy?
Do you want to take a look now?
Yeah, should we take a quick look? So in front of Andy, we have the RMCG microphone. And so he's just taking the grill off there. So the grill is magnetically attached to the front of the unit. And on the unit itself, we actually have an array of microphones. There are 64 microphones on there in a spiral pattern you'll see on the front. So these are constantly monitoring the environment and picking up what's around them using human voice activity detection, which is similar to what some of these other microphone systems use. So very wide range of pickup as well, about 5 meters around this unit. So very slim, lightweight. It's about 5 kilos in total, and again can be powered over Ethernet. So there's a single cable that goes in to power the whole unit. You have different mounting options, so you can mount it into a ceiling tile or a ceiling if you want to. There's also VESA mounting on the top of the unit as well, so you can mount it perhaps at an angle off a wall or on another type of mount as required. So that's the RMCG.
Yeah, it's quite easy to install, isn't it?
It is.
We actually took this out of the ceiling of our other meeting room to show you today.
It's it's been in use in there for a little while, and great little units, very easy to plug and play. We also over there have the VXL 16P speaker as well, which Andy's about to grab. So it's quite a large unit. It's about to come into shot. Here we go. So little mini line array. Again, PoE powered. Great little system. So you can see that there are, again, a number of mounting options. So you can mount it flush onto a wall or at an angle if you want to angle it towards your audience. So that's a quick look at those two components. Rather than me talking any more about these right now,
Phew.
you're going to have to listen to me talking about it in a whole different room.
Oh.
So a few days ago, I was down in one of our meeting spaces and I was running through this whole solution. So we'll go across to that video now and you can see how it all works. Here I am in one of our meeting spaces, and this room's slightly different as it has a range of components that make up our ADECIA system. So you'll see the VXL1 16P speakers at the front of the room. We have the option of the RMCG microphone array in the ceiling, or the RMTT on the table down the end of the desk. And then, of course, the RMCR room control processor that brings it all together. At the moment, you're hearing the RMCG ceiling microphone, which can allow for up to 4 independent voices to be heard from different directions at the same time. Now, as I walk around the space, the ceiling microphone is automatically adjusting itself to pick up my voice. I have a 5-meter radius around the microphone, which allows for solid performance. The system's constantly calculating and adjusting itself to match the environment, using beamforming and utilising all of its available microphones to give the best sound. So around now, you should be seeing a short clip which illustrates what the microphone does as you move around a space. The overlay is some special software that shows exactly what the microphone is doing at each moment while speaking. So no matter where I sit in the room, you'll hear me clearly and I can speak naturally. But of course, we could expect good audio in a conference room like this. But what about from a different type of environment? I'm going to pass you across to Reese, who's using ADECIA in a very different way.
I'm over here in our live performance room, which is not a space that you would normally associate with conferencing. Now, this space is roughly 7 meters high and around 10 meters square, so it's designed to be reverberant for live performances. Now, in the past, we may have held conferences in smaller venues, but during the pandemic, we've seen larger spaces, which are normally reserved for holding corporate events, having to be used to allow for social distancing. So the flexibility of a conferencing product is more important than ever. Now, I have a portable ADECIA system with me here, which I want to use to demonstrate how we can adapt the solution to suit different environments. So I have a set of the VXL column speakers set up here on stands behind me, and then I have the RMCG ceiling microphone suspended here above me, which is utilising the built-in VESA mounting points. We also have the RMTT tabletop microphone here as well. Now, this can be used either in conjunction with or instead of the RMCG. And in front of me, I have the RMCR processor, which is sat on top of one of our managed PoE switches. Now, these are the core devices that are required to make an ADECIA system, and these are linked together using Dante, making it simple and easy to deploy. So everything you're hearing now is coming through the RMCG microphone, and you can see that even in this open space, we have a very good sound quality. Another feature of the RMCG microphone is the exclusion zones, where we can stop the mics from picking up from a particular area. So in this example here, I can go into the web interface of the RMCG, and then tell the microphone to ignore sound from a certain direction. As soon as this setting is enabled, we can only hear the voices that we want to hear. So as long as I stay in this stage area, you'll hear me clearly, and I can speak naturally. If I jump onto my laptop here, I can also show you the web interface that is built into the ADECIA system. ADECIA has an auto setup procedure that is so simple to use. You connect your devices to the network, go into this web interface, and just scan. It will pick up the peripherals that you have in the room, and it will then add them into the system. You do have options to make SIP calls alongside using Bluetooth and USB. Plus the processor has inputs and outputs on the front and back to allow it to feed out to a recording system or to take in feeds from another existing room system. So you can see how powerful and flexible this system is. And as we already mentioned, it's fully Dante enabled so that you can integrate it with other systems. Because everything is connected over Dante, the whole system is really flexible and expandable. And we can also integrate it with much larger systems if required, meaning that the RMCR could communicate directly with a mixing console or one of our MTX or MRX processors in a larger system. So let's say that we want to expand outside of this room. Perhaps we have overflow meeting spaces or another performance space that we want to overflow into. This can be done very easily by utilising some of our other products, as Mark will show here.
Here we're going to briefly look at a family of devices that can bring together functionality within areas of your building. In this case, particularly in meeting spaces and divisible areas, we have the MTX and MRX series of devices, which fit a variety of use cases. Firstly, we have the MTX devices, the MTX3 and MTX5D, which are intelligent rack-mounted mixers. These are capable of mixing multiple sources to different grouped outputs, and also capable of performing some more advanced functions, such as feedback suppression and auto-mixing for conferences. Alongside conferencing, these can also work for background music, sound masking, paging systems, and much more besides. Starting with the smallest in the range, the MTX3 can take up to 8 analog inputs from sources such as microphones or audio playback devices. It can then give up to 8 analog outputs and allows then an additional 16 group channels that can pass out to other Yamaha devices using a technology called YDIF. So this smallest model can flow out to multiple spaces and can interface with multiple amplifiers, but it doesn't include Dante. However, moving up to the MTX5D, this model can do everything the MTX3 can do, but also adds in 16 channels of Dante I/O, allowing multiple spaces to be easily linked together. This includes spaces that use the RM series conference equipment. There are some scenarios where you need more than just a mixer, so perhaps you need advanced audio routing and access to additional filters and effects. This is where the MRX7D is ideal, as it has a completely open architecture. So you can design the system to exactly suit your needs, and the software allows you to add in support for divisible meeting spaces and to bring in different modes. For example, for conferencing with Dugan auto mixing, or to allow use of a live mixing desk in some situations. So, no matter how large your venue is, Yamaha have solutions to keep you communicating, whether the meeting is big or small.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, using Dante does really open up a whole new scale of possibilities, doesn't it?
Really does.
Not only with connecting with other devices like the MTX and MRX processors, but if you've installed a system and then find you need to expand it or need to connect it with another system, then Dante lets you do that. Add an extra microphone or add an extra speaker or pair of speakers. With Dante systems, it's easier to install and easier to expand. That's
Definitely.
great.
And no worries about compatibility as well. So between different ranges from Yamaha, anything with a Dante port on it within Yamaha should work, basically. So,
yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, we're using it right now, aren't
Exactly, we are.
Dante from our microphone here to our audio mixing desk over there.
We are indeed.
Yeah. So you are listening to us through the wonders of Dante.
And
Yes.
Yamaha. Yeah. But so talking about Dante then, so let's give a couple of scenarios that we could use for integrating Dante into your business, or some scenarios that you might come across. So let's first of all look at a multi-room setup. So you might have, let's say, a presentation space with maybe a mixing desk, some microphones, perhaps a PA system in there. And all the signals there might be routed through one of our MRX7D units. Now the signals can pass in and out of that space over Dante. So let's just say that we've got a couple of meeting spaces. One of them's got an RMCG microphone and the other has an RMTT microphone. And then maybe we have Dante amplifiers or Dante speakers in those zones as well. So all of that traffic can be passed over Dante. Then what I've done here is I've added in Provisionaire Touch. So for those unfamiliar, Provisionaire Touch is Yamaha's own proprietary control solution that can be customized to suit your environment. So it can not only control Yamaha equipment, but also with the addition of something like an MRX7D or one of the MTX series, we can actually relay commands out to other devices. So we can control screens and switches and all sorts of other devices like that. So that greatly expands what we can do with this type of system.
Yeah, that's excellent, clever stuff. And particularly if you want a microphone mute, but the microphone is in the ceiling and you can't reach it, you can make a mute button then
exactly
in the Provisionaire app.
Exactly. So it's designed for exactly that kind of thing. So then if we look at another scenario, so this is a meeting space. So if we look at a meeting space here, a large room, we have perhaps a laptop that's connected to a display over HDMI. In this scenario here, we're showing a Dante Avio adapter, as similar to the one that I've got in front of me here. So with the Avio adapter, you have a USB connection to your laptop. That would then be connected into a PoE switch, a power over Ethernet switch. So here we have one of our SWR series. And in this particular space, we have 3 RMCG microphones feeding into that network switch as well. Then we have one of our XMV amplifiers, which in this case is a Dante-enabled version. And this, in this scenario, is running 8 ceiling speakers, the VXC series, and it's running 2 of our VXS wall-mounted speakers. And then all of this is tied together using an MRX7D in this situation here. So everything, all the signals can be passed over a single network connection. There's no need for analog audio connections in what we're doing here besides the speaker outputs.
Yeah.
Then in here I've added in Provisionaire Control as well. So Provisionaire Control will run on a Windows PC, and we also then have Provisionaire Touch, which will run on an iOS device. So between the two of them, you can choose what you need for your environment to control your space. So yeah, there are a number of ways that you can set this sort of thing up, but these are just sort of 2 examples of how you could go ahead with that.
That's great. Thank you, Mark. And hey, thank you everybody for submitting some questions for us. And we have a little bit of time left where we can respond to them, can't we? So thank you very much. And regarding the beams of the RMCG microphone, the 4 beams that can track and locate where the human voice is coming from, how quickly do they react? You know, if a new speaker a new person starts speaking on a part of the room that hasn't previously had a beam, how quickly will it?
Very quickly. I don't have an exact figure, but the system it's scanning all the time. So as I mentioned before, there are 64 microphones in that unit, in the RMCG. So they're scanning the area the entire time, and they're looking out for human voices. So as soon as it hears a human voice, it will then move the beam across, and you can adjust the settings on the device to choose how quickly it does that. So it can react very, very quickly.
Yeah, you know, I mean, in our own tests, it will react quicker than I can reach a microphone and pass it over to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Well,
it will be faster than a human.
And also with the activity detection, we discovered something quite interesting earlier, didn't we? So we were testing timing for the video, and we thought what we would do is we would clap our hands. And if we clapped our hands and we weren't speaking at the same time, the microphone, the RMTT here, remains muted. And so we found we had to speak and clap at the same time to be heard. So that was really interesting. So it shows just how sensitive the system is.
Yeah, and that was us trying to get lip sync. So hopefully we are
Hopefully
in
it's
sync with you now. Yeah. Shall we clap? Well, no, we won't disturb you with clapping now. But it was intriguing that noises like that you wouldn't normally want to be broadcast do get filtered out by the device.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very powerful. Another question, which I think we've answered, but let's confirm. Is the processor, the RMCR processor unit, is that PoE as well?
It is, yeah. So all of the RM series devices are PoE plus. And that includes the VXL speakers. So the VXL 116p speakers also are PoE plus powered. So from a 25 watt PoE power source, you can power an entire line array effectively, plus the RMCR is also powered over Ethernet. So all those devices can be run off a single PoE plus switch.
Yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? The switch we showed, the SWR2311 10P, that has 8 PoE plus ports, doesn't it? So that can provide power to any eight of the ADECIA system devices. So that's a pretty powerful switch. It's great because you only need one power socket for the whole system, don't you? Which is, again, helps easy installation.
In our building here, in the meeting room that I did that video from, we're using one of those switches to power the entire room. So
yeah, very convenient. How are we doing for other questions here? Shall we deal with this one about the MTX series? I think it's worth having a quick answer of that one, and thank you for that one. The question is, how is the horsepower of the DSP or CPU for an MTX series? How many channels can be processed in real time? So I think we answered the channel count in your video of an MTX. The MTX3 handles 8 mono and 3 stereo in and 8 out. The MTX5D handles 16 mono plus 3 stereo in and has 16 zones out, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, yeah.
So that's larger. And then the MRX7D is configurable, so you can choose how many channels you want it to cope with, but it can typically handle 64 in and out. So they use kind of Yamaha proprietary processing, so we cannot compare its horsepower directly with other devices that use different types of DSP. That's not fair, but I'm sure the MRX7D is powerful enough for pretty much any system, any conference system you can imagine.
Well, I think also it's going to depend as well what type of processing you're using. So, for instance, if you're using Dugan auto mixing, for instance, there are a certain number of channels that we can handle for that and that sort of thing. I think probably if you've got a specific requirement, if you want to make contact either with us or with your local representative, and what we'll do is we'll look into your specific case and see if we can give you a better answer, because I think we're unable to be more specific than that, really.
We're running short of time to discuss it further. But of course, multiple MRX devices can be used in one system anyway if you do need expansion. Yeah, thank you very much for your questions. We are reaching towards the end of this webinar. If we have some more questions come in, then we will type them. Even if we finish broadcasting live, we will stay online for another 5 or 10 minutes to type some answers. So do stick around for that if you want. But let's show you how you can keep in touch and keep up to date with Yamaha news and products. So we are on social media. We're actually broadcasting on Facebook right now. Hello, Facebook friends. And we are on LinkedIn. We actually broadcast a version of this webinar this morning on LinkedIn, so you should be able to find that on the Yamaha Professional Audio LinkedIn page. And you can find us on Instagram as well, Yamaha Pro Audio Official. For more specific details and technical info about our products, and our website is the best place to go to. type yamaha.com/pro audio and then choose what country you are from for localized content and language. So that's a good place to go to find out about specific products and news about how our products are being used. And then YouTube. So the Yamaha Global YouTube channel is where all our previously broadcast webinars can be found and watched online, as well as a lot of tutorial videos and product system related videos, not just about Pro Audio, but about the whole world of Yamaha music. So take a look there, and this very webinar should end up being archived there as well in a week or two's time. So look out for that. We should be back as a team from the R&D Centre in Milton Keynes next month for another webinar. So do keep a lookout for that. It'd be wonderful for you to join us again. But I want to say thanks for your time. Thanks for being with us for this loud and clear conferencing solutions webinar. Thank you, Mark, for all your excellent contributions, and thank you to Tim and Kosuke for helping us as well. So take care. I hope you can have enough fuel to keep you going for the rest of the week. And we'll see you again soon.
See you again.